We're talking about the Beatitudes this morning in Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. Introduction to the Sermon on the Mount. Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them the Beatitudes. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, and they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, and they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." May God add his blessings to the reading of his word.
Thanks be to God. Let's just do a little pop quiz here. How many have read the Beatitudes before? Raise your hand. About as many as I thought had. Many of you, if I was you, I would go back and read that today, just in your own time, and let it sink in, some of the things that are being said. When I look at it, I'm overwhelmed by the word blessed. When you come from a world of nothing but rock and roll and running around with bar people from bar to bar to bar, and you think about where you're at today and who it all is because of, you say, but how much can I do? How much difference can I make in a person's life? And I looked, and I had a lot of time this week. I'm usually not a kind of person that just sits around doing nothing, and that's what I did. And the more I sat around doing nothing, the more I could hear, I love you, and you don't have to do anything. I love you because of you. You. And all I want you to know is that you are blessed. And so I started looking the word blessed up. I started looking at ways that I could bring something new. As I always like to bring a little twist to the word. So today we're going to do it in real terms. Okay? We're going to do it in real terms. And so this is how I thought of it. Hashtag blessed. If you could send something to that hashtag, what would it be? Now realize that once you do that, all your friends will know you did it. And in this day and age, all I have to do is go out there and say one word, and either they agree with me or they don't agree with me. I'm either hung out to dry or I'm loved to death, but I'm blessed. Whether somebody agrees with me or whether they don't, I'm blessed. So today we're going to be in this medium, and we're going to look at it from that standpoint. Now, as I did, and we move into this fourth week of this little series that we're in, this is the Sermon on the Mount, just in case you didn't know. And when we met and we talked about this hashtag blessed, I wanted to pursue that. And I'm struck by the sheer volume of sports references to this that you'll find out there. Now, back in my old days of preaching, when I just started, like first or second year, I did a sermon on love. And here's how I got around it. I love vanilla ice cream. I love watching football. I love watching basketball. I love. You get what my drift is? Everything in our world right now has been brought to a level that God is no longer needed for that love. And we're almost doing the same thing with blessed. We're bringing it to the earthly level instead of taking it to the godly level that lasts for an eternity. And so when I looked at today, and I had a dear friend write me this week, and she said, "Are you still looking for testimonies?" I said, "Yeah, I've got one more testimony, and it's sitting in the house today, and it's going to be used. But if there's anybody else that wanted to give a testimony, like I teased, 99.1 seconds you could have." Well, it's going to be longer than that today, and I told her it was okay. But if you're blessed, and you can think of something that you would write on that, why not write it down and see how far it goes? And see if there's a testimony in there that's just dying to get out. Because to me, when we hear about blessed are those, it's not an either or. It's not something that you have to be poor in spirit to get this. It's not that. Think about how we come every Sunday. Some are happy, some are sad, some have this, some don't have that. And we all come together. And he said, "Blessed are you because you came. Blessed are you because you want to learn. Blessed are you because you want to be in my house. Blessed are you because you parked your car out there, and everybody that drives by, I see that so-and-so's at church today." You see, everything shines when you come to church. But it also shines like that when you park your car at home and your neighbors see that you didn't go to church. It also says the same thing. It also says, who do you trust the most? So listen to this. Here's some of them that said they were blessed. "A night I've dreamed of. Tonight is my homecoming, playing the Titans. Hashtag blessed. 5 catches, 135 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns on my senior night. Hard work paid off. Hashtag blessed. Blessed to receive an offer from the University of North Carolina. Hashtag blessed. Very excited for next year. Blessed to be part of the rugby team 2017. Hashtag blessed." But isn't it true about other places, not just sports? It's all kinds of people. Blessed as long as I was able to encourage and inspire at least one person. I've got to tell you, this week I was blessed this week. The young man I told you that got saved at age 10 and at my church in West Salem, and he was up for a preaching job at the First Christian Church in West Salem, Illinois. They just hired him this week. And so he is preaching full time. He will stop. Right now he takes care of the computers for the Edwards County School District. But he will be giving that up at the end of the school year and doing nothing but full-time ministry. And he too will be going to seminary because he has never had seminary. So, but isn't that something? How God can take a 10-year-old and take them on up through there and show them what they need. He said, and also, thank God for all the blessings. Even Barack Obama used it on an Instagram. He said, have a hashtag blessed Halloween. He still used the word. There is one from the upper room. This one came from the upper room. Be a blessing each and every day. Hashtag blessed. Now, I know each one of us, if we were asked, we would say something in that realm, we are blessed. The question would be, could you articulate some things that actually tell you that? Now you're going to say, where's he going with this one? Blessed because Starbucks drive-thru was open today. Yeah. Yeah, and it's not on anybody, any particular person. I just saw that in my writings, and I thought, well, I'm going to use that. Now, this next one's well-known, too. This next one will get you, too. Yeah. I got an extra chicken nugget today. I'm blessed. Now, do you see where we are and what God's asking for? You know, I just think about it. You are more blessed than you realize. And I don't mean in monetary, I don't mean anything other than, let's look at the spiritual side of your life. Anytime that we feel like we don't have enough of God, all we have to do is seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open. That's all you got to do. And what we find is we put these little steps in front of us, and we can't really do them, and so we just stop. Now, I used to love playing with them things. You know, you peel one up, and that's how many blessings. Can you count all of them on that little thing? And my God blows those blessings in my life. And it's up to me to be sensitive enough to see them in my life and to thank Him for them. And you know, when you're down, God lifts you up. And He doesn't just physically lift you up. He lifts you up because you see His hands are all on you. Like one guy used to say at my church, he said, "You got God's thumbprint this week?" And I'd look at him. Matter of fact, the guy asked me the other day, he said, "Do you know Geraldine Lathrop?" I said, "Yeah. I know her husband too, Jose." Now, his name is not Jose. It's actually Joe, but he goes to Honduras so much, in Nicaragua, they just call him Jose. When I got done talking, he said, "You know what? Those are the people that showed me the thumbprint of God." And I said, "What?" I said, "Have you been talking to him a lot?" And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because I just put that in my sermon about the thumbprint of God." And he said, and that's what Jose used to always tell me. He'd always ask me at church, and it never minded what week of the month it was. He'd just come up every once in a while. "You got the thumbprint of God?" And he'd always do that. And then when I went to a walk to Emmaus, I saw the thumbprint of God from a friend of mine that cared enough about me that he wanted me to personally run into Jesus Christ and wanted me personally to know that I was blessed. Did not matter what I did. It mattered who I was, a child of God, redeemed by Jesus Christ. And that's all that mattered. He said, "Now, I do want you to know one thing, Mike." And Jose was one of them guys. He said, "I don't ever want to join a church. I belong to the church." I said, "Now, Jose, that's a cop-out. Because you don't have to put up with me. You can just walk out anytime you want." "No," he said, "God said I could do that." I said, "Then how do you have the thumbprint of God if you can't be with the people of God? How can you say you love God if you can't love the people He calls His?" I mean, blessed. Now, when Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," He isn't making a statement of cause and effect. I want you to get this. He isn't saying you are blessed with the kingdom of heaven because you are poor in spirit. He's not doing that. He isn't saying you are blessed with comfort because you're in mourning. What Jesus is doing here is pronouncing a blessing on the people who have gathered as He begins to teach. Now realize, He's teaching. He's called the disciples. He's called those people. He's out there, and I loved it because they said, and I always wanted to do this one time, He sat down and He taught sitting down. It wasn't Him standing up there and grabbing your attention. It was Him being with you and loving you enough to tell you, "Blessed are the poor, He was telling you, He's not telling you what you're going to go through. He's telling you how you know yourself as a blessed person. Nothing in your life can take that blessing away from you. You can give it away, but He can't take it away. And I look at it this way. I won't ever want to give my blessings away. When you go home, I want you to sit in your favorite chair, wherever that is, in your living room. And I don't want the TV on, and I want you to sit there for just a few seconds and gander at what you have. And then stop and think, if I walked out that door and it was all gone tomorrow, would I still love God? Because that isn't where your blessing is. Your blessing is in the one that gave it to you. And He's given you more blessings. He's giving you more hope every day. When you need hope, He's got hope. When you need life-giving, you've got life-giving. Blessed to be a blessing is what we are. This church, when I came to it, you were a blessing to come to. I still remember the first day I came in, Beth Ann and I came in the door. We said, "What's all that noise in there?" And looked in there, and there's been some kind of practice in there. I don't know what it was, if it was puppets or if it was your special dance team or what. But we walked into a menagerie in that sanctuary, in a little sanctuary. And we walked in, and we could see life in that church. And we were standing out in where your coffee area was. You know, remember that? You remember that, don't you? We talk about it being crammed out here. You ought to have been in that one. It was crammed. And then we're sitting in there where you could get your name badges that nobody likes to wear in this church. But you all had them on. And they were them big honking ones, too. They weren't a little bitty one. I challenge you. If you haven't got one of them, get one. Because the only way you're ever going to let somebody know you love them enough is to be embarrassed enough to wear one of them badges. Right? And so there we were in your church. Now it's our church. Because we're part of it. But at that time, it was just two outsiders walking in. And when we walked in, you could go to that little restroom, or you could hit the next door, and you'd be into Lynn's office, crammed full with everything that you could think of, because everybody used that office. And poor Lynn had to put up with it. And then we go into the Moses room. That's where it all happened, folks. That's where everything happened. The Moses room. And you know what they said to me that night, the first night they met us? And Pam knows this. We were sitting there, and somebody hollered out, "Would you like to see your office?" I said, "No, I don't need to see it. I'm already in love with the church." God sent us here. God wants something to happen in each one of us, and I will be growing as we go along in 2017, and so will you, if we all recognize we're blessed to be a blessing to somebody. Now, yours may not be snack pack. Yours may not be singing. It could be a whole gob of everything. The other day, I saw a thing where the young little manager was playing basketball, and they put him out there, and they let him shoot a three-pointer in the game. You could do anything to bring hope and joy and happiness to one life is all it takes. That's all he's asking for. Now, today I want you to hear a little special message about being blessed, but more than that, about how this person sees God. Would you come and share?
I'm not sure who copied who on that one. Mike's question the last couple weeks, where did you meet God? I'll tell you where I met God. I met him before birth. Mom and Dad getting out of the military in Vietnam. Mom is 6 months pregnant. Guess who was a little impatient? They're in the midst of moving. Mom's on bed rest. Dad has a 4 and a 5-year-old and a new job and a new house in a new state. He went to church. He came home with meals. He came home with people to watch my mom. So it starts young. The people who were involved. Where I found God, the little part of it. Methodist Summer Camp, Joda, Clarence, Missouri. That's where I said, "You're mine. I'm yours," something. Yeah. A family at church is where I met him. Mom and Dad going through divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure. And I'm a freshman in high school. When I needed a little bit of space, I went knocking on their door, and they said, "Okay, you got a week. Then you got to go kiss and make up with your folks and figure out life." They were a blessing. I met up at Wesley Foundation, the United Methodist Church's college outreach. We had a floor of Missouri Methodist Church that was dedicated to Wesley and all things college related. It was a wonderful place to hang out. I grew up in Columbia, so I didn't live on campus. Couldn't justify that cost. but that gave me a little bit of the campus feeling of being a college student while living at home all the same. Fast forward a couple of years, that same Wesley Foundation pastor had decided he was ready to grow and change a little bit. I had moved to South County. Couldn't find Illinois on a map yet, folks. But working a job and a half, working night shift. I know about 3 people in St. Louis. Trying to go to church, although it's kind of hard to go to church at 8 o'clock in the morning when you worked all night. That same Wesley Foundation pastor showed up there a few months later as an interim, and he was there for 8 or 10 years. I met him at a Saturday morning pancake breakfast when the Methodist men would do those once a month at the old church. He sounded like Debbie's laughter. If you know Debbie, you know her cackle. Absolutely warm and welcoming. When I looked in the nursery, I found him there, and a couple of moms. Their kids were the same age as mine. I had one, I didn't have 2 yet. When I came to Trenton, I was working a job and a half. I was working night shift. A couple years later, I have a kid, I have a part-time job, and I don't know anybody except who I married into in this town. I probably need some social connections. That's where it was, in the church. I met him at Women of Faith when a group of us would go, and they were in St. Louis for a weekend every year. They did that for 5 or so years. It was a group of ladies from here. I met him when I knew there was a second kid. But dang it, he wouldn't show up in my timing. You guys hung on to me then, too. I met him when said kid finally showed up. And one of you said, "Hey, it's Women of Faith Tuesday. I know your kid's a week old. Let's go. I'm driving. Come on, pack him up." Alrighty then. I met him when Evan broke his arm as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I guess. Colby was 6 months old. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I get Evan to the orthopedic in St. Louis? How do I juggle Colby? How do I make this all work? And somebody said, "I'll babysit him." It was about the last person I expected to say, "I'll watch your kid." And she did. Love it. I met him in my living room when we got the biopsy results. Dang it, if you hadn't cried all. They said you had cancer. God was waiting for Tom and I to get home. He looked like 3 of you. A couple weeks later, I met him up here. Mike kind of knows my thoughts on being in front of the church. So Beth, who always sits over there, and I, who usually sit over here, she had to move her seat. She sat by me so I couldn't run away. Mike called me up here. Mike called Sandy Shipke up here. And we went through the next year together with all of you, with Bonita, and with Jody, and Lisa. I met him when our table and our freezer were filled over and over and over. He looked like 6 of you who took me to chemo. I needed Tom to be dad. I needed Tom to work. And you guys said, "Okay, what do you need? When do you need it? We'll be there." I met him in a realtor who showed me every single house in Trenton over the course of a year. And I think there were about 15 of them on 3rd Street in various ends of town. We kind of laughed at that one. When we moved 4 days before Christmas, I don't look like I really need to move a house. 25 of you showed up, at least that. And those same Women of Faith ladies cooked lunch in my new kitchen. And I had a bed to sleep in all set up, and I could actually find my undies and my socks to go to church the next day. When one of you said, you really need a Christmas tree? And I said, no, I really don't need a Christmas tree 4 days before Christmas. I'm good, thanks. You need a Christmas tree. And she came over, and she set my tree up. Trust me, it would not have happened. I met him in all of you. My mom is not going to remember you. You welcomed her a year and a half ago, and you took her to lunch anyway. The Sunday before we moved her to Trenton Village, you followed me home to Trenton Village, and you unpacked with me. And I was not going to get through that day without that help. So, live the shirt. Be the blessing. You don't know when you are God's hands, God's feet, and God's voice. Thank you.
Yeah. Just so you know, Steve and Kay, what we've been asking is, we started out by asking how you met God. And you know, as I know, from a pastoral standpoint, we can say it, we can say it, we can say it. And all they got to do is open their mouth and just stand here and look at you. And it says volumes about our God and who he is, how he operates. He's magnified in our lowest points. And this little thing right here can scare a lot of people. But did you notice how calm and collected she was? So don't let the piece of wood here scare you. And as you can tell, we are all just on the edge of our seats when you're talking, because we don't know where God's taking you. I knew on hers because she sent it to me while I was sick. And she don't know it, but it blessed me something fierce to read that and to think that inside of her was all of this waiting to come out. And there's some of you in here that I still don't know. I don't know how God knows you. I just know that you're an integral part of this church. If you're in this church, you're very important to this church. And your testimony could be the one that unlocks somebody's pain, grief, anything. And you could be the one that was blessed to be a blessing. And so today, it was Marcy. I have another one, and I'm going to ask for it for next week, if that's okay. She knows who I'm talking to. I just won't point her out in the crowd. But next week will be hers. So it's like somebody said, you don't want to miss a week of church because you don't know what you're going to miss. Now think how many people miss that. Now it is recorded, and if it comes off right, you'll have a piece of it, and you can take it to anybody you want to, if that would witness to them. Okay? And that is one thing that we take each and every week, and to be a blessed person, to be a blessing. There's 4 of them up there that bless me every week. 4 of them. I don't ever have to ask them to do it. They don't ask me to do anything special. They just come in, they sit down, and if there's one missing, somebody say, I'll do that. And that one week when John sat up there and did all 4 of them, I about freaked out. I thought, how in the world is he doing that? Is there anybody in here, hashtag blessed enough, to offer themselves to do something like that? If there is, be a blessing. Bless them up there. Let them have a week that they could come down and sit with their families. Some of the musicians the same way. We had the same issue. Thank God for Chris Trimble. One month I was going to have to drum 4 weeks out of the month. Not because my drummers don't want to. They can't. So that's not where I'm going with this. You may think we've got plenty of people. We do. But what happens if some of them can't come? Then who's next? If you're blessed, be a blessing. Offer yourself any way you can. Offer yourself any way that you can, and you'll see that God will bless you. Now, I'm going to see. I think I had, I'm going to save that one. I'm going to save that one. All right. Now, some of the things that I wanted to touch real quick, and then I'm going to shift gears again. After Marcy's talk, I want you to think of what I'm saying here and see if you don't agree. Blessed is our identity. Amen? Our identity is a child of Christ, and our identity is not known by the things we have, it's by the one we know. If you agree with that, say amen. Okay. Secondly, blessed is our condition. Now you're going to say, I heard all kinds of coughing. I know there's all kinds of surgeries. I know but blessed is our condition. A person saved for eternity. There may be nobody in here that has this problem, but there might be one, because anytime you open your door, you never know who's listening. So if you can't answer that and say, I am not one yet, then today may be your day that you just heard a testimony of somebody that saw God in all areas of her life and knows that by she was at church camp. Did you hear that? Church camp. And she said, that'll be one you'll like, Pastor Mike. And it is. I mean, we don't send a lot of kids to church camp. Shame on us. We have confirmation. We have 9 children in there. Some have never met Jesus Christ. Some will. And they'll have a choice to make. And they'll look back at you guys to decide whether that choice is the right one or not. Because you've lived in front of them and you continue to live in front of them. So, blessed is your condition as a child of God, if you know Him as Savior. If you don't, today is your day. We always sing hymns at the end, and somebody says, why do you always sing them at the end? It's our foundation. You got to go back to where it all started. We worship first a God that just accepts us. That's why we sing praise to Him, because He opened up the door for you and I. And He said, I allow you to come in. And it's up to us to want to be in here. It's up to us to want to love on that as much as we can. It's up to us. So if you're in that condition that you say you're in, let's get after it in 2017. Let's fall in love with our Creator and then with each other. It'll last longer that way because other people will let you down. They will let you down. We're only human. We live in a world today where it's you and I have to agree. Me and him have to. Me and him. And if I'll agree with him, all else is nothing. All else is nothing. My life is in his hands, not yours. That's where I'm at. And I include you in that if you want to be. But this world is trying to make you into somebody just because they don't like you. I say, I'm blessed to be a blessing, and I will bless you, love you, no matter what you've done. No matter where you come from, I'm going to love you anyway. And if you turn around and kill me, I'm still going to love you anyway. You have nothing for me, and you can take nothing from me. Nothing. The Lord in heaven is the one in charge. That's all there is. And we got to get over this stuff of saying, I'm in charge. I'm not. He is. Blessed is he when we know that we're in the saving love of Jesus Christ our Lord. So, in his first teaching for his followers, his disciples, in his first teaching for you and me, Jesus is telling us clearly, as he can, that these people, and he said, look around. So I want you to look around. Look around. you're all blessed. You know what it means in your life? You know what it means in your life. And he says, I can meet all those needs. I can meet them. But you have to follow me. Jesus said, you have to follow me. All my hope is in the Lord. All my faith is in the Lord. It's not in some governmental system. It's not in that. Yes, I voted just like you did. That thing's over with. I voted for Jesus. And that's who I'm voting for today. And I don't. If I'm going to stand here and tell you I'll accept anybody, then I got to get over who's in charge. I got to get over who's saying bad things about the people I love. I got to get over all that, and that's hard to do unless you know Jesus. And if you know Jesus and you put him first, there's things in your life right now that you've got to shove away. You know why? Because it's hard to be blessed when you're carrying all this mess behind you. You got to drop it. I love y'all, and I just can't wait to see what God's going to do with us in 2017 if we'll charge behind the man that says that you are blessed. You are blessed. If the ushers are coming.